Ouch, was that a ghost?
The following episode contains explicit content that some listeners may find disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised. Ouch, was that a ghost? With Liz?
And not Lee. That's my Lee giggle.
I love it. Mike's back joining us again as the fill-in because Lee seems to think it's more important to take care of a child than do a podcast.
Priorities are so out of whack on that girl. She
They
doesn't even
really
understand. I remember when I had little kids, I just locked them in the closet and didn't even care. Especially when they were sick. I didn't want them around me, so.
Definitely. Isn't that like the thing in the airplane when you're supposed to take care of yourself first?
Yeah, something like that. So, sometimes I would even like cover them with honey and milk and just.
Thanks for coming on and getting us canceled.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's my job.
I love it.
FYI, my kids are healthy and well.
All right, so today I'm doing a true crime.
Ooh, true crime.
The Black Dahlia. Have you ever heard of that?
I have, actually.
You have? Every true crime I do, Lee's like, I've never heard of it. Every cryptid I do, she's never heard of. I don't think there's any
I don't know it in
she
detail,
knows.
but I've heard of it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this was me again trying to do a mini, but that never works out. So,
like the Lizzie Borden one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how I thought that could be a mini. That was so funny, though. Once
Yeah,
I found out about the capes.
Mini, yeah. Oh, it's hilarious. I know. I just commented on your Facebook or on the Spotify. I did a little comment underneath about the capes. I like that you had that little questionnaire on there. Did you just come to hear about the capes?
Yes.
Yes, 100%. No.
So as always, the true crimes I try to do as respectful as possible versus the cryptid where we're more goofy. And I do want to throw a disclaimer on this one. It has more than usual viewer discretion. It has sexual assault, suicide, incest, abortion, and graphic descriptions. So if this is too much, skip over to the next one and come back for a spooky one next week.
How do I skip?
You can't.
Oh, man.
You don't get that option.
Damn it.
So this is one of the most infamous cold cases in the United States. People are still intrigued by this case because of the horrific acts and how difficult it's been to solve. Like I said, I'm covering the Black Dahlia. Born Elizabeth Short. I always think of I only really knew about this through the American Horror Story. Did you see that one?
I did not. I never watched. I only watched a few of those seasons, a couple of those seasons, and barely watched those.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, there were only a few really good seasons. They kind of suck too, a lot of them.
Yeah.
So Elizabeth Short was born July 29th, 1924 in Hyde Park, Boston, Massachusetts. To Phoebe May Sawyer and Cleo Alvin Short. She was the middle of 5 girls. It's like the opposite of my house. Her father, Cleo, was a U.S. Navy sailor, while her mother was a housewife. The family moved for a bit, but they ended up settling in Medford, Massachusetts, where Cleo built golf courses. Isn't that a cool job?
You know it's Medfa, not Medford.
Medfa. Sorry, my mispronunciation.
What they do with golf courses?
He would build golf courses. I'm picturing that he's building mini golf courses in my mind because it's more fun.
You see windmills and stuff going
Yeah, but it was probably like full golf courses. But this is my mind where it goes, like the clown mouth and all that stuff. So it all seemed to be going fine until in 1929, the stock market crashed and he lost like basically all of his money. So in 1923, his car was found abandoned on the Charles River Bridge. So that his family assumed he jumped. Elizabeth's mother then had to go to work, so she got a job as a bookkeeper to support the family. Elizabeth herself had lung issues. She had lung surgery at the age of 15, and she continued suffering asthma attacks and bronchitis through her youth.
Oh, that sucks.
Through her ute.
Her ute. The 2 utes.
At the advice of doctors...
Going back to the mini golf course. Are you too good for your hole?
Go home.
Go home.
Yes. At the advice of her doctors, Elizabeth would go and spend winters in Florida with her family for the dry weather. So in December of 1942, Elizabeth Elizabeth's mother received a letter from her presumed dead husband, and he was like, "Yeah, sorry, I'm alive, and I started over in California."
So how many years was this?
She was 18 at the time.
No, how many
So
years had he been gone?
he t in 1930 to 42, so 12 years.
So he just pieced out for 12 years, went to
Yeah.
get the milk and never came back.
He's like he's like, "Can I come back?" And the mother was like, "Nah." That's verbatim, "Nah."
Nah, nah,
So
son.
Elizabeth what a dick, though. Like, she has 5 girls,
I
and
mean,
back then, it wasn't easy for a female to, like, go and support a whole family.
but I mean, he'd already gone and left. Why would he want to come back at that point? Did he have like a change of heart or like a, I don't know. That's so weird.
He was like, "My child support is done because my kid's 18, maybe?" I have no idea.
That's probably exactly what it is. I'm free of any obligations. Let me back.
Such a scumbag.
Ah, good
But
move.
Elizabeth, who's now 18, she went to go stay with her father in California, who she hasn't seen since she was 6 years old. California was where Hollywood was anyways, and it was in its golden age. Everyone wanted to see movies or be in one. This was like the first round of kids that grew up going to movies with talking pictures.
Ooh, very exciting days.
But this was the first time there were actually like movie stars. There weren't just plays or silent films. Like actors and actresses were worldwide known now. And this was the
Yeah.
first time the kids grew up with that. So everyone wanted to be a star. So she was like, "Yeah, I want to go to California and, shoot my shot." All I think of is like, you got to be a star, kid. Like,
Not gonna miss my shot.
that's right. So getting to California, the rush of these kids meant a lot of them would be heartbroken, but Elizabeth was going to try to make it anyways. The
Oh, I
living
wish her the
arrangement
best.
The living arrangement with her father didn't last very long. The two were constantly bickering. Remember, she moved in December of 1942, and by January of 1943, she moved out. So she only stayed for about a month.
Okay.
Elizabeth took a job at the PX, which I had a whole explanation for Lee. I don't feel like I need to explain
Military
that to you.
store. Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand what
But
it
I
is.
had a whole paragraph of an explanation of what a PX was.
No, I want to hear the paragraph though. Can we
No,
put it in
forget
just in
it.
case?
It's basically a little shop for people on base.
Oh wow, that's interesting.
I'm really cutting it short is what I had. But this was at Camp Cook, which was an Air Force base.
Yes.
Elizabeth shortly after met and moved in with an Air Force sergeant who is said to have abused her. And by mid 1943, she had enough and moved to Santa Barbara, where on September 23rd, 1943, she was arrested at a bar for underage drinking at
Okay.
19. Can you believe she drank at 19?
Oh my God, how scandalous! I know. It must have. There was years when 18 was legal, so this must have been out of that.
I know. To me, that's like whatever. If you're caught drinking when you're 10, it's a little bit different than 19.
I always believed if you could serve in the military, you should be able to drink. It's just the way it is. But
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah, you can
beside
vote,
the
but you
point.
can't do this.
Yeah, you're an adult, but you're not old enough to drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the juvenile authorities sent her back to Massachusetts, and when winter came around, she moved to Miami, Florida to be a waitress. During her time in Florida, she met Major Matthew Michael Gordon Jr.
Well, she was all
Major
into the
Matthew
military
Michael
people, huh?
Gordon Jr. Yes. They got engaged, and sadly, Major Gordon was killed in a plane crash on August 1945, just a few days before the war ended. Now, in July 1946, she went to LA looking for a friend, but then she found out that he'd moved to LA. So she started staying just pretty much anywhere she could find. She'd stay at a hotel for a night or two, started crashing on people's couches. And then December of 1946, she went to San Diego and met a man named Robert Red Manley. Can you guess what color his hair was?
Brown.
Close. He offered
close.
to
Good old RRM coming in with his red hair.
He offered to give her a ride to LA.
Hey, Red, give me a ride.
And they spent a platonic night together at a motel. The next day, he brought her to the bus station.
What was platonic back in those days?
Not getting it on.
Oh, we're gonna sleep Butt to butt. Ooh.
The next day, he brought her to the bus station so she could store her luggage. This is when Robert Red Manley claimed he dropped her off at the Biltmore in downtown LA.
Hold on. That's not his name.
This is when Rum claims he dropped her off at the Biltmore in downtown LA to meet her sister that was visiting. The next 6 days have unsuccessfully been attempted to be pieced together ever since. What happens after the Biltmore Lounge is a mystery to this day. After this, the stories branch out. One say that she went to a cocktail lounge down the street near the hotel. One account is that she was using the phone in the lobby. Some people say she never used the phone. No one's really sure. But Rum seems to be the last person that saw her alive.
Okay.
On the morning...
So Rome is the top suspect at this point.
You solved it. You're my new Lee. You have to say zoinks occasionally then.
Oh, I can't do that. I can't steal all her lines. I gotta make up my own. Gosh,
I'm sorry.
Scoob.
I lied.
What'd you lie about?
No, that's Lee's line. In every episode, at one point, she's like, I lied.
Oh,
like,
I know,
what is
I know
wrong
she does.
with you?
She does lie a lot and admits to it.
About
It's
nothing,
amazing.
too.
I know.
She'll be like, I'm wearing a purple shirt. No, I lied. It's pink.
They told my kid to eat a diet. I lied. They didn't.
My kid doesn't eat yet.
Oh, she's the best. She's the best.
I'm going to have her edit this so she has to listen to it all.
Yes, good.
So on the morning...
We're unsolved for 6 days. What are we doing now?
On the morning of January 15th, 1947, at the Leimert. See, I've seen Leimert and Lemont online, so I don't know how this is pronounced. In the Leimert part section of LA, Betty Bursinger, who was a local housewife, left her house for a morning walk with her 3-year-old daughter in a stroller. As she neared the corner of 39th and Norton, she passed overgrown weeds and a lot of vacant lots surrounded by abandoned trees because all the construction kind of halted because of the war in this area. So it was just kind of like a whole abandoned field, abandoned houses, just like an eerie area.
Did you say abandoned trees?
Did I?
I think you said abandoned trees. I don't know what kind of trees are getting abandoned, but I feel bad for them. I'll adopt one.
Poor Chippendale.
Yes. Poor little spruces.
Betty saw something about a foot in from the sidewalk, something white. It was an abandoned area where people would regularly dump trash, so she just shrugged it off and continued her walk. As she got closer, she saw it was a ghostly white plastic department store mannequin, strangely posed with her arms over her shoulders, and her legs were obscenely staged, like spread apart. She saw it was split in 2 separate parts, about a foot away from each other, and to her surprise, the features were too real to be a mannequin. It was a pale white woman, laying in the grass with jet black hair. This was a severed body of a mutilated woman, with cuts all over her body, and her mouth was cut into a Glasgow smile.
So her mouth was cut ear to ear.
Yeah, like a Joker-looking smile.
Yes, yeah.
So it was like a permanent, grotesque parody of a smile. She let out a scream and maternally got her daughter out of there as quick as possible. She ran to a nearby neighbor's house and phoned the authorities. Officer Frank Perkins and Will Fitzgerald arrived at the vacant lot within minutes. And upon initial assessment, they immediately called for assistance because they saw this wasn't like an everyday murder.
Yeah.
The body seemed almost posed, making no attempt to conceal the body, like the killer was proud of his work. And it wasn't long until the crime scene had a crowd of onlookers. I don't know why this was such a normal thing back then. I get that, like, procedures changed over the years, but it seems like every old murder case I see, everyone just tramples the crime scene.
Well, the thing, murders were like fantasized back then, like Jack the Ripper and stuff like that. They were made into like almost heroic figures. It was weird, but
it really wasn't. I feel like
that's strange.
The world was just like doom and gloom. Like after the Great Depression, after a war, like everything just seemed kind of gray.
Oh yeah,
in my mind,
until our generation came along, but.
Yes, we fixed it all.
No, I think the hippies brought it back.
I know, that would be a cool era to live in. Yeah,
that would have been fun. I mean, I don't know about women. Women were still fighting for rights and stuff, weren't they, back then? But I mean, it was better.
Yeah, but then us women didn't have to wear bras.
That's true. You did burn those motherfuckers.
That's a bonus.
Yes.
So the autopsy revealed deep cuts and lacerations all over her body, including her face. And sadly, she was probably alive for the face lacerations
Oh
because
God.
it appeared bruising was starting, which would imply like blood was rushing to there.
Yeah,
She
flowing still. Yeah.
she had lacerations on her head. The wounds actually penetrated her scalp. She had contusions on her brain. She had brain bleed caused by blunt force trauma. She had ligature marks on her ankles and wrists. The crime scene and autopsy photos are very graphic, so know that if you decide to go to Google. Her
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna
uterus,
look at them, but I
yeah,
appreciate
they're
it.
tough. Her uterus was removed. Her intestines were cleanly
That's.
removed and tucked under the lower half of her body.
Oh.
And a hemicorporectomy was done to the body, which is a procedure that cuts from beneath the lumbar spine. And this is the only spot in the body where you can sever the body in half without breaking any bones. And it was done with such surgical precision, leaving no trauma to the internal organs and bones, which was taught in medical schools in the 1930s.
Oh.
The body was drained of nearly all its blood, probably factoring into the paleness. She had chunks of flesh missing from her body, having been flayed, some on her upper thighs and some on her chest. And this gets worse and worse. Parts of the flesh, along with the pubic bone that was shaved from her body, was inserted into her vagina and rectum.
Oh God.
And while they were checking her stomach contents, feces were discovered. So it can be assumed that she was forced to eat this while still alive.
Oh my God.
The lack of blood and the fact that her body was drained almost of all the blood led the authorities to believe that this was not the primary site and that she'd been killed elsewhere and dumped here. There wasn't a drop of blood at the crime scene, wet or dry.
So this guy's chopping her up and doing surgical procedures to her. It's friggin' crazy.
What a sicko, right? The
Yeah.
body appeared to be cleaned and scrubbed. Bristles were even said to be found on her body still from cleaning. The police determined she'd been deceased for about 10 hours prior to being discovered, and her death certificate listed cerebral hemorrhaging as a cause of death. Next to her body were a few old cement bags that had blood stains on them. Those might have been what she was moved in, and there was a heel print. I didn't see anything further about the heel print. I can only assume that other people trampled it. They tried to ID her through her fingerprints, which actually turned up pretty quickly because she applied for that job at the commissary at Camp Cook.
Yeah.
So they had her fingerprints on file, and they were able to identify her as 22-year-old Elizabeth Short. Her fingerprints turned up a second time because she was arrested for underage drinking a few months prior. The media and police started working together, but when someone in the LA Examiner got Elizabeth's name, they decided they were going to try to get an exclusive. So this asshole called Elizabeth's mother, Phoebe May. They got her number, gave her a call, and said, "Hey, Elizabeth just won a beauty contest. Can I do an interview with you and
Oh
get
my
more information
God.
on Elizabeth?" So her mother's all
Without her
excited,
mother
you know,
even knowing about anything.
Yep, she knew nothing. So she was like,
Oh.
"Oh, my daughter went to go be a star. She won a beauty contest." So she just starts gushing answers to her, any and all questions. And then when the newspaper got all the information they needed, they were like, "Yeah, she didn't win a beauty contest. She actually was brutally murdered."
Oh, what a douche. I'd shoot him. That's crazy.
What a dick, right?
What a
So the police
poor
gave her
mom.
mugshot photos.
The poor mom. I mean, I can't even imagine.
Yeah, that's how you find out. You're all excited, and then they just break like the most horrific news to you in the world, like it's a
Right.
joke. The police department gave her mugshot photos to the media, and the media was disgustingly sensationalizing her murder to the public. They started painting a picture of her, trying to brand her as a sexual deviant. One headline says, "Sex fiend slaying victim identified."
Yeah, let's
And
let's paint the victim as a bad person. That seems like the best idea.
another article said she was victim material. They were assholes to her. One police report, not even just media, said she knew well over 50 men, like meaning she'd been with well over 50 men.
Yeah.
Like, how is that relevant to anything? And she was known to be, she didn't swear, not that that really matters, but she
Yeah.
wasn't a big drinker, and she was very selective of the men that she was with. But even if you're
Regardless, it's
promiscuous,
irrelevant.
it doesn't matter. Yeah. And some articles said, "Oh, she's just a teaser of men," with no facts behind anything, but the rumor mill was just going.
Yeah, it's
And it's
too late
gross.
at that point. Once a newspaper puts it out there, it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in those days, that's the only channel of information you're getting for the most part.
And there's no checks and balances. It's whatever they say, they say.
Yeah.
This is so off topic, but did you ever hear about in the old elections, they used to go back and forth like that? And one of the elections, I forget which presidents they were, the guy was like so sick of trying to discredit the other one, he just started posting, "Oh, the other candidate is dead." And the newspapers all printed it.
Do you know who these candidates were, or no?
It was
You've
on
heard of
Drunk
it.
History. I gotta find the episode and send it to you. But they literally said, "Oh, this guy's dead."
Oh, that's great. I definitely got to watch that one. That would be incredible.
So the press dubbed her the Black Dahlia in reference to the popular movie out at the time titled The Blue Dahlia, due to the fact that she wore a lot of black sheer clothing and the fact that she was an aspiring actress. She'd only been in LA for 6 months, so as of her passing, she had no film credits to her name as of yet, and she'd been working as a waitress to get by. The murder case captivated the public's imagination, spawning countless theories. A week after Elizabeth was found, on January 21st, the Examiner from the newspaper got a call from a man claiming to be the murderer. The caller referred to Elizabeth as Beth, which is something only her friends and family would call her. In the paper, they always posted Elizabeth, so this implied some kind of familiarity. And the person said to prove that they were the killer, they'd send some of her belongings to the newspaper.
Good. Yeah.
So on January 24th, 3 days after the call, the Examiner received a package containing Elizabeth's birth certificate, some business cards, some photos, and an address book that had some pages torn out, and on the front of the address book was the name Mark Hansen. The items were wiped down with gasoline to destroy the fingerprints, and the letter was written... This is so gross. It was written using cutouts from stories about Elizabeth, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, he'd buy newspapers about Elizabeth's death, and then he'd use those cutouts to make
I
almost
understand.
like a ransom note. 2 days after the last envelope, the police received another call telling them to meet them at a certain location, and he turned himself in, and this was handwritten, and the police arrived and no one was there. So I don't know if he changed his mind or was just messing with them.
It's like he almost wanted to take the credit for it, but he kept backing out, type of thing. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was handwritten. The first one was with
the cutouts. Yeah.
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 A little while later, the police received another letter saying that they changed their mind, and this was also wiped down with gasoline and again with magazine and newspaper cutouts.
Ugh.
The investigation led to over 150 suspects, and over 60 people falsely confessed.
Yeah. Like I said, they glorified murderers back then, so people probably wanted to take credit for the big crime that happened.
Yeah, like, want to be in the newspaper for any reason whatsoever.
Yeah, just give me my 5 minutes of fame. Even if I have to go to jail for it.
It's so disgusting.
Yeah.
Many suspects emerged, but eventually the case just went cold. There's many theories. Some say Orson Welles to Bugsy Siegel. Some say that she was in a relationship with Marilyn Monroe. I can't get into all the theories or else this would be a 10-parter, so I just picked the top 3. There was Robert Manley Red. I'm sorry,
Rum.
The man that dropped her off at the Biltmore and then went home to his wife.
But was
at
he a
6:30
surgeon or
p.m.
had any medical history?
He did not, but he was in the military. But that doesn't mean much.
That doesn't mean much as far as that goes. Yeah.
He passed 2 polygraph tests. He was even given sodium pentothal, which, again, I had a whole explanation of this for Lee, but it's basically truth serum.
Yes.
And I'm sure you're aware of this.
Yes.
And his story didn't waver, and he had an alibi. He claimed he met her about a month prior while she was waiting for the bus. They had a few dates, shared a motel room, and dropped her off and went home to his wife. The strange thing about...
Room seems like he's out of the question.
But the strangest thing about his is he died accidentally, in quotes, 39 years to the day after dropping Elizabeth at the Biltmore because he fell off of the roof of his apartment building.
Yeah, that happens. It's pretty normal.
That's just, I don't know, that's a little bit wacky to me, but I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Another theory is that 3 men were involved with the murder. The 3 men being Mark Hansen, Leslie Dillon, and Jeff Connors. Mark Hansen was the name on the front of the address book that the media received.
Mm-hmm.
He was a well-known womanizer. He was very well off. He owned a bunch of nightclubs. He was just a well-paid guy. And what he did usually is if women were passing through town and needed a place to stay, he'd be like, sure, come stay with me, come have dinner. but he kind of expected something in return.
Mm-hmm.
Leslie Dilson, why do I keep saying Dilson? Leslie Dillon, he happened to be a bellboy at the Biltmore Hotel where Elizabeth was staying, and he was also a former mortician's assistant.
Okay, so he had a little commonality with bodies and cutting them open.
And the theory is being that Jeff Connors murdered Elizabeth at the request of Mark Hansen, who, like I said, owned the nightclub.
Yeah.
And it's said that Elizabeth spent a few nights with Hansen, but it's also said that during these nights, Elizabeth rejected his advances. And Hansen was very well off and known to help young women, but he wanted something in return.
Mm-hmm.
Leslie Dillon, this is funny, but it is. He called the police under an alias of Jack Sand. That was his alias when he called the police and confessed. Jack Sand.
Good old Jack Sand.
But he confessed to the LAPD that Jeff Connors was the one that murdered Elizabeth to keep her quiet about, quote, an affair not considered proper by the average person.
Okay. Interesting.
When questioned about the confession, he said he knew things about the case that weren't public knowledge. Specifically, she had a rose tattoo on her thigh.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things that was placed inside of her and cut off.
Oh, so he knew all this information?
Yes. But then some articles say she never had a rose tattoo. So I don't know, but the majority say that this is true.
Yeah, and he could also know someone who was familiar with a case too, or something like along those lines, I guess. But
But if this did happen this way, then they assume it was done at the Astor Hotel, which was where Leslie Dillon was staying. And a manager named Henry Hoffman admitted that the morning that her body was discovered, that one of the rooms was covered in blood and fecal matter.
No.
If you remember, she was forced to eat that. And another room had bloody clothes of a female wrapped in a paper bag. So when he found this, what do you think he did?
Probably cleaned it up, I would imagine.
Exactly.
That's his job.
Yep. So witnesses recall seeing a man who looked like Hansen and a woman fitting Elizabeth's description. Hansen was quoted in 1971 saying, "She just asked for trouble. She probably went too far this time and just set some guy off into a blind berserk rage." None of them were ever charged with anything.
Probably had too much money and paid people off. It's easy.
Especially back then, it was a lot more corrupt. The world was just more
No,
corrupt.
of course. Of course.
So the next suspect is George Hodel. In 1999, retired LAPD detective Steve Hodel was going through his dad's belongings, who had recently passed away. His estranged father, George Hodel, was described as having a distant personality, and he was a big part of Steve's childhood until he just up and left after Steve's 9th birthday. George Hodel was a very smart man, having scored as high as 186 on an IQ test, which is a point higher than Einstein. Hodel was in college at 15 years old when he started an affair with his professor's wife, and she became pregnant.
Oh, interesting. And about getting things done, yeah.
So after finishing his degree at a different college, he specialized in gynecology, which gave him access to young women. He started treating young girls for STDs and performing abortions. He made a lot of money, and he had a huge house. George Hodel had a lot of different wives. He had a lot of affairs and a lot of kids. His kids all lived with their respective mothers, except when his daughter Tamar claimed when she was about 10, she came to live with him, where he would encourage her to sunbathe in the nude, and George and his friends would come with some cameras and would watch. He was known for having crazy parties, orgies. Tamar claimed that at age 11, he started sexually assaulting her. 3 years later, Tamar tried to run away, and she was picked up, and she told the police officers about the alleged incest, and George was arrested. At the trial, there was to be 3 eyewitnesses that all claimed to have seen George doing this to Tamar at the parties. 2 witnesses came and testified, and then the last witness just recanted. George had his lawyer run a huge smear campaign against Tamar, saying that she was like a pathological liar. He ended up being acquitted.
Wow.
And it's said in many articles that he might have paid off the jury and might have paid off the last person. I wasn't there, but that's just all to give you some character background.
We only got
George
2
Hodel.
out of 3 to admit it. He's innocent. Yeah, that's
So
crazy.
while Steve, his son, the retired LAPD, was going through his father's things, he found a small wooden photo album small enough to fit in the palm of your hand. It had family photos, some taken by Man Ray, who was a world famous artist, but in the back of the album, he found 2 pictures of a female who looked a lot like the well known Black Dahlia. This led Steve Hodel to start his own investigation into his father, George Hodel, who coincidentally was one of the main suspects before the investigation went cold. Steve started going through old newspaper clippings, witness interviews, and in those, at least 8 witnesses claimed that they had firsthand knowledge of a relationship between Elizabeth and George in 1946. Steve went as far as filing a Freedom of Information Act in order to get the FBI case files. He hired a handwriting expert to compare the samples of handwriting from the letter that was sent to the newspaper to the handwriting samples he had of his own father. The result being that there was a strong possibility of them matching, but it wasn't 100% conclusive. George Hodel, Steve's father, he was a doctor, which meant he would have had the training needed to remove her organs and bisect Elizabeth's body, specifically being able to do the hemicorporectomy, which was commonly taught in the 1930s. That was when he went to school.
Yes.
Another really compelling bit of information is that Steve found a receipt dated a few days before the murder for a large bag of concrete that matched the same brand and size to the one found next to Elizabeth's body. There was a file that Lieutenant Frank Jemison, one of the first investigators, stuck in a safe in the basement of the DA's office, and it was filled with notes that confirmed that George was one of the 6 top main suspects. George Hodel was such a strong suspect that shortly after the murder, George Hodel's house was even being bugged. The transcripts had a lot of him berating his secretary, having sex, talking money, and on February 19th, 1950 at 8:25 p.m., he's recorded saying, "Woman scream." Well, this is not him saying it. This is the transcript.
Woman scream! Woman scream!
It was a woman screamed, and then a woman screamed again. And that same day, it's transcribed saying, "Realize there was nothing I can do. Just put a pillow over her head and cover her with a blanket, get a taxi. They thought that there was something fishy. Anyway, now they might have figured it out. Killed her." I'll read one more transcribed statement by George. "Suppose I did kill the Black Dahlia. They can't prove it now. They can't talk to my secretary anymore because she's dead." And coincidentally, that day that the first recording happened, that was the day that his secretary overdosed and committed suicide while he was there in the room with her. Even with the recordings, they didn't get the evidence needed to charge him with anything.
No, why would you? It doesn't make any sense. You can't get... That's Georgie Teflon. Nothing sticks to him.
That's right. So go back to George Hodel's friend, Man Ray, the world-renowned artist. 2 of his pieces of nude females have a very, very strong resemblance to Elizabeth's body. Steve makes a point that maybe his father did this as a way of helping Steve make a masterpiece, something so shocking, that it would endure time. Steve Hodel published a book in 2003 titled Black Dahlia Avenger, The True Story. In there, he compiles his findings, which contains a lot of evidence. I only touched on a few items, but there's a lot in there. It's very intriguing. In 2001, a Los Angeles ADA said, quote, "Thanks to some great detective work by his courageous son, Steve, the name of Dr. George Hodel will live in infamy." She added that if Hodel was still alive, he would be charged with 2 charges of murder. To this day, people are still confessing. Over 500 people have confessed. How gross is that?
That's insane. Yeah.
So poor Elizabeth Short, an aspiring actress's life was cut short with no answers. She's used as a spectacle to help newspaper sales, and it's just another tragedy under the glimmering lights of Hollywood in the golden era. She served for inspiration for many books and movies, and it seems fitting that a Black Dahlia flower is known for its beauty, but it also symbolizes betrayal and sadness. Just one last thing, Elizabeth Short's ghost is one of the ghosts said to be a regular at the Biltmore Hotel. I'm not going too far into that because I'm covering the Biltmore soon.
All right. Get some Black Dahlia in the Biltmore. Excellent. So are we ruling Room out completely after that? Or is it... We've pinning it on Georgie and saying he's 100% the guy?
I have no idea, because that room is very, very damning.
But, I mean, maybe
and so is he.
Maybe they were in cahoots in some way, shape, or form,
So you're just thinking Room was out of the running?
Room's out of the running. Room has nothing to do with anything. He just happened to know her in a passing night, sleeping butt to butt. There's nothing going on there. But yeah, but I mean, I could see like that guy using his hotel for whatever he did to her. You know what I mean? George and him being in cahoots to set it all up and kill her and then clean it up afterwards.
Oh, and the guy at the hotel, when he was asked, like, why didn't you call the police? He was like, well, I didn't want to see them again because I had a domestic thing a few days prior. So I didn't want to run into him again.
Yeah. It's just obviously has some shady shit going on himself. Him and Georgie running a little sex ring underground.
Oh, he's so gross.
Yeah.
Even if he wasn't the killer, he was a freaking disgusting man.
Obviously. I mean, he's basically charged with raping a 12-year-old and 11-year-old, whatever, and gets away with it.
Yeah, and they basically sent her to juvenile detention centers after.
Ugh. That's
after coming clean.
crazy. Yeah, you can't blame the person who's doing the bad. You got to blame the victims. It's the way it goes.
Yeah, I told you it was a gross one at the beginning, and I told you could have left, but not you.
Yeah, I tried to skip it, but I couldn't do it. My skip button didn't work.
Sorry about that, man.
I'm definitely not going to look at pictures, so.
Yeah, I wouldn't. The only thing that you could look up is Man Ray's photos of the Black Dahlia.
Yeah.
And you can see that it does, or the picture that he found in the back of the photo album, and that does look exactly like the Black Dahlia.
Her, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I can just send you that so you don't have to like accidentally see something else.
Well, very interesting story. Unfortunately, that's the way it went back then. Girls get blamed for being too sexual when it's actually the psychopath guy's fault.
Yeah, and you know that none of anything that they collected was either tampered with, wasn't stored correctly, or...
Oh, of course. They trampled the crime scene, everything. Yeah, they didn't care.
Like she has no chance of being solved now.
No. I mean, it's kind of is without it even being solved. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For the most part. But, I mean, all these people are far gone by now anyway, so they'll be serving their penance elsewhere.
Well, Tamar has grandchildren that are still here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they wrote a book. They actually did a movie recently. Well, not a movie. I think it was a miniseries. It had Chris Pine in it. I can't remember the name of it. And it was basically based on Tamar's book.
Yeah, I wouldn't know.
It's a pretty good. I saw it years ago, but I didn't put this together that was that. And then as I was doing this case, I was like, that sounds kind of familiar. And then I looked it up, and it was based on that.
Look at that. The story lives on.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and saving me from Lee's abandonment.
I hope her kid gets better one of these days. It's craziness. These priorities, man. She's out of control. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'll fill in whenever you need me, and I look forward to it. Look forward to hearing my own voice, I guess.
Can we get a buzz?
Buzz. Yeah, you got to check out the Spotify comments, and people need to start messaging on there and putting some critiques on there and jumping into the poll.
I know nobody really follows us on Spotify. They'll listen, but they won't hit the follow button.
Yeah, you got to get on that. You hear that, everyone? Jump on that follow button, smash it.
Do it. Okay.
All right, bye.
Thanks so much for listening.
If you have a story you'd like us to share, email us at ouchwasthataghost@yahoo.com.
Don't forget to follow our Facebook page, Ouch, Was That a Ghost?